Welcome back. This time we're talking about Loving, the latest film from writer-director Jeff Nichols, telling the true story of Richard and Mildred Loving, who in the 1960s were arrested in Virginia for being in an interracial marriage. Their case would eventually go to the Supreme Court and result in all laws banning interracial marriage being deemed unconstitutional. That ruling was recently used as part of the basis in the Supreme Court decision legalizing gay marriage across the nation. As far as the movie goes, this is one of those cases where we have an excellent director who also wrote the screenplay and two phenomenal lead performances. This is the second film I've seen by Jeff Nichols this year, having already given his take on the sci-fi genre, Midnight Special, a quite positive review. But Loving is something else entirely. It's just a beautiful film that tells a very powerful story. And that story begins when Richard finds out that his girlfriend, Mildred, is pregnant. Against the advice of some of his friends, he takes Mildred up to Washington, D.C. so they can get married because it's against the law in Virginia. Because he's white and she's part African American, part Native American. Their marriage is eventually found out and they're both arrested, sparking a case that will eventually span multiple years and, as I mentioned before, ultimately go all the way to the Supreme Court. Now, what I love about Nichols' films is he knows how to pace them. This is a story that spans multiple years, but he's able to give the audience the sense of time passing without it feeling like unconnected events just sort of strung out. There's a flow from start to finish that just keeps everything feeling like one connected narrative, which it obviously is, but having seen a lot of movies like this, it's something that's difficult to pull off, and this is something that Nichols does really well. But he also does that with each scene, just how he captures each shot. It's just the whole movie just feels very intimate as we're watching this story unfold. And that's another key to this movie, is that it never feels like we're having a message delivered to us. No, we're having a story told to us. And that story is the love between Richard and Mildred. And the film never forgets that, even though their story ultimately became much more important on a global scale. This movie never forgets that this is a love story between two people. And the reason that works is because of the lead performances from Joel Edgerton as Richard and Ruth Negga as Mildred. Now I have to say, Edgerton is a chameleon. I mean, he just takes on each role and he's almost unrecognizable from movie to movie. Whether it's Black Mass, Midnight Special, or Loving. He just captures that character so well. It's like he becomes a completely different person every time he takes on a new role. As far as Negga, I really wasn't terribly familiar with her. I knew her from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as well as Preacher, but she was sort of a character actor that I noticed but had never really just popped up on my radar. Now, her performance here is one of those performances that makes me stand up and notice. She is an actress that when I see her name, I will take note and look for that film because she is so phenomenally good in this movie. In an incredibly understated performance. And frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if they're both noticed when it comes to awards time. And honestly, I'd probably be shocked if they're not. These are two of the best performances I've seen this year. Loving is a very powerful movie with a very important story. But best of all, it never forgets that it's telling a very personal story, and that's the story that we get on screen thanks to Nichols and his writing and direction, as well as the performances. This is a film that I can highly, highly recommend. If you've seen Loving, let me know what you thought about it. As always, you can subscribe to my channel, check out some of my other reviews, and until next time, I'll see you at the movies.